Welcome back to Bravo Breaking News with Kim and Lisa. We got a double header this week, and Real Housewives Fall is only beginning. Salt Lake City premiered, and I think we are in for one hell of a season.
Yeah, the SLC ladies definitely brought it. But so did OC this week, and Heather Dubrow's in the hot seat. All I have to say is justice for Emily.
Yeah, we are going to dive into both cities this week, but let us know. Are you watching Salt Lake? Do you want us to keep covering it? Should it be one episode? Should it be separate episodes, kind of like a Housewives Choose Your Own Adventure? Let us know what you think. Drop it in the comments. And while you're at it, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss any more recaps and Bravo Breaking News to come.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with SLC. So if you guys aren't watching, you are definitely missing out. The city, when they announced it, everyone was kind of like, this is random, Salt Lake City. But every single season has been worth watching. They bring the drama, things take twists and turns, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. So I would definitely recommend tuning in. We get this dramatic opening, and one thing about Salt Lake City, they're going to do this overly edited, overly produced opening where they follow each lady in their home and each one gets a line and they're telling a story. And it kind of culminates with them standing in this circle, talking about how the show kind of keeps them together. So it's very meta in a way, but yeah. And then it says but you never know who can turn on you. And so it keeps you guessing.
I loved it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was amazing. The whole first episode is basically set at Lisa Barlow's Bezos party. And then we kind of get these flashbacks inserted throughout the episode, but the whole thing takes place at Lisa's party. And she says, I'm throwing a party because I just love my girlfriends, some more than others. And we find out that Lisa is not so happy at New Wild Rose because Whitney went on, what else? The Vile Files, and called Lisa a villain and, among some other things. We also learned that Mary is now besties with Angie K. Didn't see that one coming. Last season, she wouldn't even give Angie K the time of day. I don't think she even bothered to ever learn her name until she was sat next to her at the reunion and Angie complimented Mary. So right off the bat, we're seeing where the allies are, where the cracks are within the group. And yeah, we're off and running.
I loved that opening scene, those first 2 minutes. I mean, of course, last season, we had the Monica reality Von Teese of it all, and everybody was tuning in. It was making headlines. It was a huge scandal that brought a lot of eyes to the show. And so I feel like picking up in this very dramatic way was spot on. I loved it. I loved every second of it. You know who else I love? Fucking Lisa Barlow, my baby gorgeous. Yeah. I love her so much. I love that she is throwing the first party of the season. I love that she's the first housewife that we saw on screen. I think she is going to carry it like she normally does. But yeah, it was really interesting to see, who showed up with who. I love the new duo, Mary and Angie. I'm over the Vile Files podcast. I hope we move right along from that. I do not want his name mentioned again. But we do meet a newbie, Bronwyn. And I got to get your thoughts on her because I'm not sure how I'm feeling about her. I don't know. The jury's definitely still out for her. I started following her on Instagram and I don't know, something about her might rub me the wrong way. But what were your initial thoughts?
So I just need to understand how Bravo has found 2 women with the name Bronwyn to be cast members. I have never heard that name before in my entire life on this planet. Is that a common name that I'm just not aware of? What are the freaking chances that 2 women have been cast on Bravo Real Housewives shows named Bronwyn?
I don't know. It's crazy, but she, comes in hot with the YSL heart. Do you think it's couture or do you think it's a costume? Please tell me your thoughts, because I think it's like maybe right down the middle for me.
I love Saint Laurent. It's definitely couture. However, not everyone can pull off couture. She says Rihanna has one. Okay, that makes sense to me. Like, Rihanna is going to these events and, you know, she's being photographed. She is a fashion icon. Bronwyn, you're going to like a gathering in a barn. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but like in Salt Lake City, it's just a little too much for me. And then when they showed her outfit meeting Lisa for lunch in the yellow hot pants and bra and puffer coat, I was like, are they going to even let her eat there? Like, she's not wearing clothes. She's not wearing pants and she's not wearing a shirt. And she just acts like it's, you know, an everyday outfit. I appreciate it, but it's also trying a little bit too hard. So I just hope that we see more than just fashion. Like, you can't just bring fashion. That's not enough.
I agree. So we'll see what happens with her. But we also meet Brittany, who's a friend of Heather's. We find out she's in a relationship with an Osmond, which is very interesting. But off the bat, you know, of course, Mary is, you know, pulling her like, who's this, basically. They're all sitting down together, and Mary and Bronwyn obviously bond over their love of fashion, which I might be into that duo as well. But Brittany, you know, is like very quickly finding herself in a bad place with Mary. They're talking about like their upbringings and how, you know, she's like, you know, I guess Mary shares that, you know, she didn't grow up like this. And Brittany's like, oh, I grew up poor too. And Mary's like, I didn't say I was poor. And then like Brittany goes on further to say she was like stuffing food in her purse. And of course, Mary latches on to that and is like, who is this person? Chooses to get up and walk away. Like, I'm sorry. Mary Cosby is very problematic. She has said inappropriate things. She has done inappropriate things. She does have me blocked on Instagram. So, you know, she has her issues. However, her confessionals and the way she acts on this show is just, there's nothing else like it. I kind of want to compare her to Kathy Hilton, but Kathy's like a little more put together and like thinks before she speaks, maybe a little bit more. Mary is just off the cuff. Like, she does not think before she speaks or acts, and I kind of love it.
No, this whole scene was comedy gold. Like, Brittany comes in off the bat, says, I love your costume. And both Bronwyn and Mary were like, not a costume. Saint Laurent couture. There's 3 made in the world. So she's instantly on their bad side, right? And then, yeah, she comes at Mary with like, oh, well, I grew up poor too. That's problematic. Like, why are you assuming that Mary grew up poor? It's a bit of a microaggression. And then the food stuffing in the purse, Brittany's trying to like be relatable, and it's just backfiring in all sorts of ways. Like, she just keeps digging herself deeper. And yeah, Mary cannot hide her disgust, her hatred for anyone. And you see it all over her face. And then when they go inside and she sees she's sat next to this Brittany woman, she's like, oh my God, change it. And then Brittany's right there, and you just see Mary's face just like,
I don't want her stuffing
Ben Affleck face.
I don't want her stuffing bread in my purse, because this had to be recent. You know, you don't have purses when you're little. Like, I died when she said that. That has got to be one of the, I don't know. I LOL'd at that, and I kind of loved it. And she's not wrong, but also like, Mary. Oh my gosh.
It's so funny. Okay, so then we get into this scene with Meredith and Whitney, and I instantly have deja vu. I was like, am I watching the right season? Because last season started with Meredith confronting Whitney about something she said about Meredith's bathtub. This time, Meredith is confronting Whitney about her bath bombs. Like, literally just like same, but different. And Whitney says, I have always had bath bombs. You just didn't know that. And Meredith thinks that like literally anything bathtub, bath related, she owns. I do get where she's coming from because it feels like Meredith did jewelry, then Whitney launched a jewelry line, and then Meredith did, she announced she's doing bath bombs, and now Whitney all of a sudden has bath bombs. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think it's like a single white female, like stalkery thing wants to be Meredith, but Meredith is really latching onto this.
I think so too. Like, just a little side note on Whitney's businesses. I feel like she's scattering herself a little too thin. She's like trying to do too many things. Like, let's focus on one thing. And, try to build that rather than creating like 10 different small businesses to try to grow at the same time. But that's just my personal small business advice. As a, small business owner, no, not really. But it was interesting just to see that play out because I don't know. I'm kind of team Meredith. I do think that the bath is her thing, but I also think the bath bomb, it did come out. Whitney has had bath bombs on her website since 2018. So there's that. But let's talk about what interrupts Whitney, who comes and swoops in because I guess the conversation had just kind of fizzled out and Angie saw her opening because this was TV gold.
I don't even think there was an opening, honestly. Angie just sidled right up there and she was like, okay, you guys are done talking. Meredith, I hear you want an apology. Here's what I want an apology for. Pulls out of her Birkin a literal scroll, shakes it open, and there's written in red Sharpie, everything that Meredith has said against Angie K, and just starts reading it out. I mean, she knew this was her moment and she went for it.
Let's talk about Angie K. I loved Angie K since the beginning, and I don't know who noticed this, but she is the center snowflake holder in the opening. Like, wow.
Wait,
the
for
fact,
real?
Yes, the fact that look at the intro, she's in the center, she has 3 on each side. Like, I think this is going to carry this season, and she started off very strong with that scroll moment. I mean, sometimes a prop or a receipt, especially at a reunion, can fall flat, but I love this. Nobody knew about it. It caught everybody's attention. I'm here for it.
Oof. Wow. I did not realize that. That's a bold move for production to put her center in her second season, but all right, let's see what happens. See if she lives up to it.
So the ladies, let's move on to dinner. The ladies all sit down, and this is where the real chaos starts. And I think, Angie's still pissed at Meredith. That feud is continuing. She's going after Meredith for all of the things that she needs an apology for. She brings, of course, the classic Housewives trope. You rent, I own. At least I'm living in a house that I own. And again, she's not wrong. Like, it does seem like Meredith rents a different house every season. Right. And now, I don't know if you saw, but Whitney's on her little press tour right now. She's claiming that Meredith doesn't even live in Utah and only comes to film the show.
I mean, that would make sense. Then why she doesn't own a home there and just rents? She owns a business there.
Why is she a housewife of Salt Lake City then? Begs the question.
Unclear. The
line is blurred.
The qualifications for being a housewife in a certain city are getting, very blurred.
You're right.
Okay, so then Lisa starts confronting Whitney about the podcast situation. And, the way I stand Lisa Barlow, love her, like, will always, I hope this ages well, love her. But the way she goes about it with Whitney, she's like, I want you to apologize. And Whitney's like, for what? And she's like, for what you said on the podcast. Okay, what part? The podcast was 2 hours long. I didn't talk about you for 2 hours. You know what you said. And Whitney's like, just tell me what bothered you. And Lisa refuses to say it. And I'm like, just fucking say it. Because she just keeps saying, Like, you lied about me. You lied about me. And Whitney's point is, look, me saying that you are a villain, like, that's my opinion. That's not a lie. It's not fact-based. It's just me saying, like, in my opinion, I think you are the villain of the show. And so Lisa's standing on this liar thing, and it's just, I don't know. Anytime someone throws out the word liar, like, it never goes well, and yet they always go back to it.
It's not a lie if it's how I feel. It's how I feel, so it's not a lie. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Which I kind of do see Whitney's point, but Lisa is throwing drinks, she's getting activated. And then Whitney comes out and says, oh, God, Whitney, this is where you lost everyone. You lost everyone in this moment. She says, guys, I do not lie. I have never lied. Roll tape.
Roll fucking tape. Those women came with the receipts, proof, timeline, and screenshots because there are so many examples of Whitney lying. They name them. It's Meredith's father's memorial, lying about being there. Lisa sleeping with somebody for jazz tickets. Heather getting approval from her for the book, which Whitney turned into an entire fight. I mean, like, the list literally goes on and on. Put it on a scroll, Angie, because there are a lot of things that Whitney has lied about that should be on that scroll too. I don't know. I thought that Whitney got called out. And yeah, she walked out. She was angry. She flips everybody off. But I think it's well-deserved because she has been lying. There's so many examples. And if everybody, yes, it was a gang up and I do feel bad. But if everybody is literally citing examples of you lying, you deserve to be called out about it. And, I don't know, ganged up on a little bit, at least.
It was a bit surprising, though, because the feud was between Lisa and Whitney. And then all of a sudden, literally the entire other side of the table was coming at Whitney. And it was like, oh shit, Whitney is going to be in the hot seat this season. And she's like fending off, she's fending off Meredith, she's fending off Heather, she's fending off Lisa. And she just gets up and storms out. The thing that I just have to call out is the musicians sitting towards the exit could not keep a straight face. Like, they were trying to hold it in, but they were just laughing because this just went off the rails. And they're like, what the fuck is happening? There's a woman wearing a heart and these people are screaming at each other. They're all dressed to the nines. We're in a barn. I don't know what's happening.
I mean, that's a Housewives classic when they show reactions of people, around. And a lot of people, yes, are aware of this show, know what, is going on. But it kind of seems like those guys had no idea what they were getting themselves into. And I loved it. I thought this was a 10 out of 10 premiere. I am so excited for this season to come. I don't think Monica will be missed, but we'll see. I think we've got some new cast members that'll maybe bring some new feuds, and we've got the old one brewing too. So I'm excited. But are you ready to jump into OC?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So we kind of kick off with Gina coming to Shannon's house, and Shannon is saying that, she's hearing from her lawyer now she told her lawyer about these videos that John allegedly has, these Ring camera videos. And her attorney is like, that sounds like blackmail. And so he confronts John's attorney, and John's attorney basically confirms that, yes, it is blackmail. And they're okay with that. And he says, John just wants an insurance policy just in case Shannon goes off the rails. Like, what does that even mean? And yeah, that's just like, John, if your whole goal here is to restore your reputation, how do you think this is going to go down? Like, how do you think this is helping?
It's not at all. It's doing the complete opposite. We said it last week. We'll say it again. Do these people have brains? Because this is like the least smart way to go about this. But when this clip came out in a sneak peek last week, it was like a day after Alexis had done an interview. I don't know if you saw this. I posted about it. Alexis claimed she basically took the fall for talking about the videos, for saying that they were going to release them, that John had no intention of ever releasing them or doing anything with them, that it was all Alexis. Meanwhile, we got this scene from Shannon from this week's episode saying that John had every intention of releasing them if Shannon were to act up. And this is just getting so out of hand. She offered him the full amount of money. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want to sign a non-disparage agreement. What do you want? What will solve this? I don't think that this lawsuit is over. I think it's ongoing. Like, do we have any updates as to what's happening? Because I think they're still fighting it.
Honestly, I don't want them to go to court because obviously it's going to cost Shannon a lot of money. But I kind of do want them to go to court because I don't see how any judge is going to rule in his favor and be like, yes, she does owe you that money. There was no contract signed. There was no, statement saying this is a loan that will be paid back by this date. No, like what the fuck? This is a disagreement between two people who used to date, and lesson learned: don't lend people money. Like, wait, what did they say? Like, it's never a loan. It's a gift. Like, if you are going to loan someone money, you cannot expect them to pay it back. Okay. So if you expect it to be paid back, then don't give it in the first place.
I agree. And it's also like, it's not even about the money. Like, he's not accepted her full offer. So I don't know what this man wants. I don't know what his end goal is. And that's sick. That's so sick of him and Alexis to carry this on. But gosh, I don't know. I'm kind of like over this because it's just getting out of control. So let's move on. We get this scene with Emily, Katie, and Jen. They're at breakfast, and Jen picks up the bill, which everybody is surprised about, including me. You would think that production would maybe pick up these bills while they're filming, and they probably do. Maybe they get reimbursed. I don't know. You would think they would get a stipend for filming, but I digress. But they're talking about their kids and kind of course, bonding over this. And I wanted to get your thoughts as a mom, because we see Jen open up about her kid that she has struggles with. And later on, we see a scene with them. I think it's her oldest, Dawson, who's basically choosing to go live with his dad. He doesn't want to come home to Ryan's house, and she feels like she's, the way she was raised, like basically relying on other people, kind of helpless. Like, she doesn't want that for her kids. So she's trying to instill discipline, which totally makes sense. But gosh, this really has to hurt bad to be divorcing from your ex and your kid to choose to live with the other person. Like, it seems like this is a trend on OC, and it's very sad to see.
Very sad to see. Honestly, teenagers are a whole different breed. I'm not there yet. Like, toddlers have their own set of challenges, but it sounds like Jen is now realizing that she was probably too soft on her kids in a way, and probably did too much for them. And now they don't quite understand kind of how to be out in the world, and that you have to work for things. And so, but it might be a little bit too little too late. And it's a hard line. Like, I struggle with this daily between, like, you want to do everything for your kids and you want to help them with everything. But there is something to be said for letting them fail and letting them find their way sometimes, because if you don't let them do that, they're not going to develop any sort of grit or any sort of, drive to push themselves to be better. And, this whole gentle parenting trend that, is the way that, like, we're now being taught to raise our kids. It's tough because, like, the real world is a tough place and it's not always going to be gentle. So you have to kind of, like, walk a very fine line.
Well said. Well said.
It's easier said than done, believe me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Emily kind of calls out, like, the lawsuit for being extortion. And oh wait, sorry, that's not what I wanted to bring up with Emily. Okay. So Emily tells the women, listen, about the fashion show, I just have like a little gripe to bring up about Heather, because she says, I was the only person who was asked to bring her own jeans. And the other girls are like, oh, like, didn't realize that. And she says, I don't think Heather did it intentionally to like make me feel bad about myself or to single me out, but it did make me feel bad about myself. I did feel singled out. She says, Heather still looks at her as like the big girl. And even though she's lost a lot of weight and she's been working really hard, and this is an emotional topic for her, you can tell. And like, I really felt for Emily in this moment. I understood where she was coming from. I know like it's hard to believe, but I used to be like 40 pounds heavier. I struggled with my weight when I was growing up and like into college, right after college. And so always having that insecurity like is really hard. And then having someone kind of unintentionally single you out, like it just doesn't feel good. And I think that's where she was coming from when she confronts Heather. And I know we'll get there, but I just think that Heather just completely handled it the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree. And as someone like living in Orange County, being surrounded by women who look like Tamara and look like Heather, who are literal twigs, they are tiny. And Emily, coming into the show, not being that, had to have been tough for several seasons. And she's worked really hard on her, it's not a revenge body, it's just her new body. And she looks absolutely amazing. But I don't know. I definitely get where she's coming from. I think it's been a long time coming. This has been something that she struggled with. But, I think that she felt like she would be treated differently now. And the fact that she wasn't was sad. But yeah, we'll get to that because I love how Emily handled it, honestly. But let's talk about the GLAAD Awards for a moment. We do see Heather, in all of her glory at the GLAAD Awards. I love her and Terry's involvement in this. She presented with none other than the bathtub queen herself, Meredith Marks, on stage. Alexis was there too. We saw Jennifer Tilly. I don't know if you saw, but Chrishell and G Flip from Selling Sunset were at their table too. So it was a star-studded affair. I loved it. And I just have to say, I do think that, the Bravo cameras were there. They could have made this a group event with all the women, but because it's about such an important cause and it's an important event and an important night, I think they purposely chose not to have all the women there because, of course, shit was going to blow up. There was going to be drama. There was going to be yelling. And so bravo to Bravo for keeping this like, as it should be and not creating like a mockery that they sometimes do at these charity events.
What do you mean? I think these ladies that always handle themselves so, gracefully at events, Kim. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Okay, so while they're doing this, we get Shannon and Vicky going to their first Dos Amigas show, which is just simply called the Shannon and Vicky show, or the Vicky and Shannon show. I can't remember which comes first. And I need to get your thoughts on this because Vicky is saying, we're selling out shows like Adele. Like, this is going to be great. They have all these new ideas. They're bringing tap dancing onto the stage. And I don't know. When I saw this show, I was like, it's definitely giving low budget. I don't know that this is something I would pay a ticket to see, and I adore these ladies. So I would like to hear from you because you have seen them.
Well, breaking news, I will also be seeing this show. I did get tickets to Shannon and Vicky live in Irvine in 2 weeks. So I will definitely report back. But this what we got a sneak peek that I'm not sure I would have purchased the tickets after I saw, we see Shannon practicing her tapping. We see little top hats maybe with like a little cane and a dance move. Don't know what's happening there. We also see a slingshot with t-shirts because Adele also did that in Vegas. And the fact that Vicky and the name Adele are even being used in the same sentence, the fact that Vicky is even comparing this show to anything that Adele has ever done is honestly hilarious. I think it's going to be a shit show. Let's be real. If you guys saw what I shared about the Trace Amiga show, that was a shit show. This is also going to be a shit show, but kind of in an endearing, fun way. I don't go in and take it seriously. I know these women, no offense, do not have talent. So I'm going in just to have a fun night, see them make fun of themselves and have fun. So that's my expectation. And I think that's the right expectation to have.
Yeah, that definitely feels right. That definitely feels right. Okay, well,
So
I can't wait to hear. Yes, I can't wait to hear about the new show and how it compared to the original. All right, so we get to Jen's fiesta. She's having this housewarming party because she is, kind of settling into Ryan's, and she wants to make it feel like it's her space as well as his space. Everyone gets there, and then Alexis comes in and is just, oh my God, she's so desperate, you guys. She comes in and it's just immediately like, and they're like, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Okay, well, obviously something's wrong. So just tell us. It's just hard. Okay, can you tell us more? Like, oh, she's just so desperate for camera time. It kills me. And so she's saying that, this whole lawsuit thing is just really taking its toll. And, he has baggage, she has baggage. They should have met 6 months later and everything would have been much better. And it's like, yeah, what did you expect? Like when all of this was going down, you thought you were just going to get with Shannon's ex, be on the show, and everything was going to be hunky-dory, to quote Kathy Hilton. Like, no. Again with the brain. I'm sorry. Like, she's not smart. This woman is not smart. She's not. I don't know like how she's gotten through life this far. She's raised great kids. She seems to be successful. I guess she, I don't really know if she works other than getting alimony from, Jim. But, I am trying to say nice. It's like Watch What Happens Live. Say one nice thing about Alexis Polina. Yeah. Okay. There are a few things, but I don't know. She's coming in, definitely wants the spotlight, and that continues throughout the night, but not before Emily confronts Heather about the measurements. The measurements. It's all about the measurements. She's, saying to Heather exactly how she felt. She felt singled out about the jeans. Heather denies it and actually says that Emily had one more look than the other ladies. So does that mean that she brought the jeans because it was for an additional look that some of the other ladies did not wear? I don't know. No. That's where my head went, but I don't know. Then, of course, she brings up the size 12 dress that Alexis also wore, and she didn't like the fact that she had to be in the same dress as Alexis, who's very tiny. And then I don't know. She kind of like loses it on Heather. Heather, we see in the confessional, kind of break it down for us. She sent the measurements to Susan Bender, and then she doubles down. No. This moment, she was like, that size 12 dress was tight on Emily. It wasn't too big. Like, okay, even if that is the case, you don't say that. You say that? Why would you say that, Heather? Like, low blow. Such a low blow. Like, initially when Emily started talking about it, I do think Heather received it okay. She said, I'm so sorry. Like, I never intended to make you feel that way. Like there was no, and Emily was like, I know you didn't intend to. I'm just making you aware that like it did make me feel a certain way. And then things just start to spiral because Heather really cannot take constructive criticism. Okay. And she just gets defensive. If you push even just a little millimeter too far, she's going to go on the defense and she's going to shut down. And this is what happened. And this is where Heather lost me. And then Alexis decides to insert herself in the mix because she's like, well, what did I do wrong? And Emily's like, you didn't do anything wrong. Well, why are you bringing me into this? I'm not bringing you into this. I'm just simply saying that I was in the same dress as you and you're a much smaller person than me. So that made me feel a certain way. And Alexis, again, just like so desperate, wants to be a part of everything, like doesn't let it go. She's a dog with a bone on this. And Emily's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like Jen has got to have a muzzle around here with her 6 dogs or whatever. And so then, things kind of cool down. Emily approaches Heather and says, can we have a conversation one-on-one? Heather is resistant. There's finger pointing. Emily goes off. But yeah, when Heather said that in the confessional and she said, by the way, that size 12 dress, it wasn't too big on her. It was actually tight. So fucking unnecessary, Heather Dubrow. And that is your true character, what you showed right there. And it really fucking pissed me off. That was such a low blow. And I can't believe that she said that.
I don't like how she completely turned it around and started playing the victim and like being like, oh, I'm offended that you would be offended that I tried to offend you, And it's like, no, it's not about you. Just fucking take accountability. Or I don't know. She's blaming it on the designer. It's like she just went about this all wrong. On Watch What Happens Live last night, she didn't really seem to take any more accountability. No. It was just, I don't know, just this woman is just opening up about an insecurity. Like, there's an easy way to handle this. And it is the complete opposite of what Heather did, like blow up and make this something that it's not. And then Alexis inserting herself. My God, like I second Emily. We need to muscle that woman immediately. Like she should not be allowed to speak anymore on the show or ever. I don't want to hear from her. I was so team Emily. I mean, obviously the entire episode, but when she was like, you're a friend, you're not even involved, like literally calling out that Alexis is just a friend of, so get out of the main Housewives storylines. I mean, it's true. You're a friend of. Don't insert yourself where you don't belong. Go F John more. Like, I loved it. I mean, Emily had just had it. I think she expected one reaction from Heather and got a complete another. And then on top of it, Alexis piping in. Ooh, I would have lost it too.
Yeah, no. Alexis and Heather were both playing victim. And it was not cool. Not cool at all. And so justice for Emily, honestly. Like, she's allowed to feel how she feels. And Heather just needed to take that and hear that, and she didn't. So who knows where we go from here, but I have a feeling this will not be the last we hear of these jeans. And yeah.
And I think next week we start to dig into some of the Ryan and Jen stuff because Tamra is attacking Ryan about something he said on a podcast. She's already bringing up the FBI, even though I don't think the news about Ryan had broken yet. So I don't know what we're about to get into, but it's going to be juicy. We also have a great season of Salt Lake ahead of us. So let us know. Do you guys want us to keep covering Salt Lake? Do you want a separate episode? Do you like what we did today? Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more Bravo Breaking News.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.